Hello, and welcome everybody. JB here with JB's RCs. Thanks for stopping by. Got a fantastic running video for you today. Coming at you with a little different rig. This is brand new to me. Just got this a couple weeks back. Did a test run with it. A couple things I didn't like, so I changed some stuff right away. Of course, the most obvious thing, as you can see there. By the way, this is the Element Knightrunner. If you guys aren't familiar with this is a IFS independent front suspension truck. So it's got straight axle on the rear with a 4-link, and the front is independent. So each front wheel moves on its own. Something a little different, and mostly for trailing, so I'll probably be using it mostly for trailing. But yes, the first thing I changed, as you can obviously see, are the wheels and tires. These are some reversible wheels that I had for a while on one of my Viteras, and when you flip them over, they're deep dish normally, which is what I had used them as, but for these, they kind of look like a stock Toyota wheel, and they are not deep dish. On there for tires, we got the RC4WD Genius tires. Work much better on these trails than the stock tires did. The stock tires were just a little bit too small, and the tread pattern was real tight, so they got filled up with dirt and mud real quick and lost all traction. Next thing we did real quick was the skids. So we did that front skid there. You can see on the very front of it where it says TRD. That's a metal skid now instead of the plastic. It just goes over top of the plastic, doesn't replace it. I also have the center skid that runs down from the center of the independent front suspension all the way down to the very center of the chassis itself, where the transfer case is. And that just, again, bolts on top of the plastic piece that's already there. I also did the aluminum front lower links for the A-arms. So those are metal now. Plastic was just hitting the roots and rocks real good, and I knew that was going to cause some issues, so I got the aluminum ones to just give it a little more sturdiness. And then the last thing on the front there I did was the brass centerpiece. So up underneath all that metal and aluminum, where those A-arms attach to the chassis itself, there's usually a plastic square piece there. I switched that out to a brass piece for a little extra weight. Did add a few sticky weights in the front as well, up there by the servo, which I have to say is probably one of my least favorite things about this truck. The servo has about 6 different points of pivot, which is kind of crazy. So many places for things to go wrong, and also to switch out anything that has to do with the steering, you pretty much have to take the whole front end apart. To get to the servo or the servo horn, the screws are all up underneath that IFS system. So you have to take that off just to get to those screws and change out the servo, which, of course, for electronics, we got a brand new servo in there. It's a 45 kg Metal Gear aluminum case waterproof servo. We're running the, of course, Fusion system in here. I think it's the 1200 or the 1800 kV. I can't remember actually. I've got a few new trucks recently, and I've done a lot of stuff, so I'm trying to keep up with everything. And then, of course, we changed out the transmitter receiver as well to a Flysky. I'm not a fan of the associated receivers and transmitters that come with these. And also, there's no extra channels on those team associated, so there's a big spot in the front of this to put a winch if you want. There's places to put lights, all that stuff, and you can't really do that without the channels to run that stuff, so I just added the Flysky as a little bit of an upgrade. Of course, we're running on 3S as usual. We're up at Santos Bike Trail, as you can see in the background here. A bunch of guys stopped to check out the trucks, riding their mountain bikes and stuff around. There was actually a little bit of a contest out there on this day that we were hanging out. So a lot of bikers out there, and a lot of vehicles actually out on the bike trails, which was kind of strange. You never see them out there. And it's about a 100-yard, 150-yard walk from the parking lot to the trails, so I was very surprised to see cars out that far. I guess just for the setup, they had some tents and stuff out there. So yeah, you can see that metal all up on the front there. And again, these tires look real nice on this. Those wheels look good on there. I think that matches the truck quite well as far as just what a stock Tacoma wheel might look like. So yeah, just a couple little pieces added to the back. I took that spare They had like a fake tent that was on the top of that rack on the back there. I took that off. That was actually just a big, solid, heavy piece of plastic. I took that off there and I put in just a little bicycle and a little skateboard. And then, of course, the one last thing is that metal antenna on the back. I'm not sure if you've seen that yet. It's just up off the rear bumper, a little short antenna. It's a KYX, and one of my favorite brands for antennas that I've used. Doesn't bounce around as much as some of the ones I like that are a little smaller and thinner, but it's a little thicker and holds up a lot better when you do roll the truck over or have some problems. So yeah, minus that steering situation I talked about earlier. The electronics were a little bit rough. The steering servo was rough. I adjusted the front bumper, and that actually, the posts that the front bumper mounts to the chassis with, actually just got in the way of the steering, and I couldn't steer at all, so I had to chop those off. So another bad thing about that is there's not a lot of clearance up there for other things. Steering servo that was stock wasn't too strong. Since I added a little extra weight on there, I wanted to get something a little stronger in. Stock ESC motor was okay, but it was real slow. I was looking for a little more wheel speed. Okay, so this is the 1800 kV. I know earlier I said I wasn't sure, but now that I'm thinking of it, I did the 1800 kV because of the wheel speed being so slow. I wanted to give it a little extra oomph. That 1200 just wouldn't have done it. It probably would have been the same speed. So a lot more wheel speed now. Helps a lot. So yeah, electronics-wise, got to change it. The steering system, I would love to be able to find a way to replace that without switching to a straight axle on the front, because kind of the point of buying this truck was for that IFS system that's up there that's a little different than other trucks. And it seems to work pretty well. As you can see, there's plenty of flex in this. These tires are a little bit bigger than the stock tires, so I did have to trim just a touch on that front for everything to fit. Stiffened up the springs a little bit to get that ride up there because it was riding a little bit low. But it's working pretty well. A few more things I'm probably going to do just scale-wise for it, because again, I'm going to use this more as a trail truck, considering that's what it's mostly meant for. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope I didn't ramble on too much for you. And by the end here, if you guys want to wait to the end, that's fine. If you want to fast forward also, at the end of this run, I had a major issue where a root got wrapped up around that one of my front tires. It actually got stuck in between the wheel and the one of the steering components that's right there near the wheel. And it ripped the entire front tire off, including all of the connecting arms and everything. There was the way they're mounted on there, there is 2 pivot balls and one little screw piece that screws in. So that's all that's holding that front tire on. Again, a little bit of a weak point, if I'm saying. I mean, I would have rather snapped the drive shaft, honestly, than see the whole wheel fall off like that, because it just ripped that screwed part out and the 2 balls just popped out. Of course, the drive shaft fell out, and I didn't realize till I got home that the drive cup also fell out, because they're not bolted in or screwed in at all. They're just held in by the tension of the drive shaft pushing against them on that center transfer in the front there. So you'll see the picture at the very end if you fast forward, or like I said, if you just want to wait. The video's pretty close to over here. We got maybe a couple more minutes. It's one of my longer videos. I did want to do a thorough test of this. And like I said, I did do a few test runs just to see how things were going stock-wise. But of course, you know me, I'm not a big fan of keeping things very stock at all. And since I've upgraded so many of my trucks and I know what I like, I upgrade that. So yeah, there's the tire right there. So, thanks for stopping by, guys. Get out there and have some fun.